She almost didn't make it. The statue, you know. The one on every postcard, every coin, every movie poster. The green woman standing in the water with her torch held high. You have seen her 1,000 times. But here is what most people do not know. She almost never existed. She almost stayed in a warehouse, in pieces, forgotten. She almost became nothing but a beautiful idea that died too soon. Today, we are going to find out what really happened. We are going to meet the people who dreamed her, built her, and saved her. And by the end of this story, I promise you, you will never look at her the same way again. My friends, this is the real history of the Statue of Liberty. It all began with a dinner, a dream, and a man who refused to stay silent. The year was 1865. The American Civil War had just ended. Hundreds of thousands of people were dead. The country was broken, bleeding, and exhausted. But it had survived. Democracy, the idea that ordinary people deserve freedom, had survived. In France, a professor named Édouard de la Boulaye sat at a long dinner table outside Paris. He was a quiet man, a thinker. He loved America deeply. He believed in what America stood for, the idea that all people are born equal, that no king, no emperor, no tyrant owns a human life. La Boulaye looked around the table at his friends and said something extraordinary. He said, "America's freedom belongs to the world. We should give them a monument, something that cannot be ignored, something eternal." Eternal means lasting forever, something that will stand long after every person at this table is gone. His friends smiled politely. They thought it was a beautiful dream. They did not know it would become one of the greatest gifts one nation ever gave to another. Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi was 37 years old when he first saw the island that would change everything. He was a sculptor, an artist, a Frenchman with dark curly hair, wide intense eyes, and enormous ambition. When La Boulaye shared his dream, Bartholdi did not just listen, he grabbed it with both hands. In 1871, he sailed to America. He was looking for the perfect location. He needed a place where millions of people would see his statue, a place where it would be impossible to ignore. When his ship entered New York Harbor, Bartholdi stood at the bow, the front of the ship, and stared. The water sparkled. The city rose in the distance, and in the middle of the harbor there was a small island, quiet, empty, waiting. He pointed at it and whispered, "There." Can you imagine that moment? A man standing on a ship, pointing at an empty island, already seeing something magnificent that did not yet exist? Bartholdi spent years designing her. He gave her a strong, proud face. Some historians believe he used his own mother's face as the model. Think about that. The face that has welcomed millions of immigrants may be the face of one French woman who lived in the 1800s. He gave her a torch to hold high, a light for the world to follow. He placed a crown on her head with 7 points. Those 7 points represent the 7 seas and the 7 continents. She does not belong to one country. She belongs to everyone. He placed a tablet in her other hand. On it are the numbers July 4th, 1776. The day America declared independence. The day the dream began. And at her feet, look carefully because most people miss this, there are broken chains. She is stepping forward, away from slavery, away from oppression. Every step she takes is a step toward freedom. But then came the darkness. The most famous statue in the world was sitting in wooden crates, gathering dust, going nowhere. France had agreed to build the statue. America had agreed to build the pedestal, the large stone base she would stand on. It seemed like a perfect partnership. 2 nations, 1 dream, 1 monument. But by 1883, the money in America had run out. The pedestal needed more than $300,000 to complete. That was an enormous amount of money at the time. American politicians shrugged their shoulders. Wealthy businessmen turned away. The newspapers said it was not their problem. The statue was a foreign gift. Let the foreigners pay for it. In Paris, the statue was finished. Her copper body gleamed in the light. She was breathtaking. She was magnificent, perfect, powerful, and full of beauty, but she could not travel across the ocean to sit on an unfinished base. She sat in a warehouse in more than 300 separate pieces, waiting. Everything they had built was about to crumble. And then a man named Joseph Pulitzer picked up his pen. Pulitzer was an immigrant. He had come to America from Hungary with nothing. He had built himself into one of the most powerful newspaper publishers in the country. And when he heard that the Statue of Liberty was sitting in pieces because wealthy Americans refused to donate money, something inside him burned with anger. He wrote an editorial, a powerful article expressing his opinion, in his newspaper, The New York World. He wrote it in March 1885. He said, "The statue is not a gift to the rich of this country. It is a gift to the people. Let the people pay for it." He promised to print the name of every single person who donated, no matter how small the amount. What happened next was something no one expected. Donations poured in, not from millionaires, from ordinary people. A schoolgirl sent 60 cents. A group of children in a small town collected $1.35. Workers sent their spare coins. Immigrants, people who had arrived in America with almost nothing, sent what little they had. They were donating to a statue that stood for the same freedom that had brought them here. In 5 months, Pulitzer raised $100,000. More than 120,000 people donated. The average donation was less than $1. She was saved, not by powerful men in expensive suits, by ordinary people who believed in a dream. What you see on the outside is beautiful, but the real genius is what you cannot see. Here is a question that not many people think about. The Statue of Liberty is made of copper. She weighs more than 200 tons. She stands 93 meters tall, from the ground to the tip of her torch. She stands in open water, where wind can reach 100 kilometers per hour. How does she not fall down? The answer involves a man you have probably heard of, Gustave Eiffel. Yes, the same man who built the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Eiffel designed her internal skeleton, the invisible iron frame inside her body. He did not build a rigid frame. Rigid means completely stiff and hard. He knew that something completely rigid would crack in strong wind. Instead, Eiffel built a flexible system. The copper skin of the statue is attached to the iron frame by hundreds of small metal bars called saddles. These bars allow the copper to move slightly in the wind, to breathe, without tearing or breaking. In a strong storm, the top of the statue sways almost 8 centimeters. She bends. She does not break. Scientists and engineers today still study this design. Eiffel's invisible skeleton inside the Statue of Liberty was one of the engineering blueprints for the first skyscrapers. The very technology that allowed humans to build towers reaching into the clouds began, in part, inside a woman holding a torch in New York Harbor. Imagine standing on the deck of a crowded ship, cold and exhausted, carrying everything you own in a single bag. You left your home because you had to. Maybe there was a war, maybe there was hunger, maybe someone wanted to put you in prison for who you are or what you believe. You have been on this ship for 2 weeks. The smell of salt is sharp in your nose. The cold air stings your skin. The children around you are crying, and then someone shouts. They are pointing ahead. You look up, and through the gray morning mist, you see her. A green figure, tall and strong, standing in the water, her arm raised high, her torch burning above the fog. She is not moving, but she feels alive. She feels like she is looking directly at you. Between 1892 and 1954, more than 12 million immigrants passed through Ellis Island, right beside the statue. People came from Italy, Ireland, Poland, Russia, China, Greece, Hungary, and dozens of other countries. For nearly every single one of them, the first image of America was her. One Italian immigrant, arriving in 1903, later wrote in his diary, "I could not speak, I could only weep. She was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. I felt, for the first time, that perhaps there was a place in this world for me." That is what she meant. Not power, not military strength, not the wealth of a nation. She meant, there is a place for you here. Every single day, people take photographs of her, but very few stop to read what she is saying. Her full name is Liberty Enlightening the World. Not protecting, not defending, enlightening, bringing light, bringing understanding. She was not built by one country. She was dreamed by a French professor at a dinner table, designed by a French sculptor who sailed across the ocean with a sketchbook, engineered by the man who would later build the Eiffel Tower, funded by 120,000 ordinary people, immigrants, workers, schoolchildren, who gave whatever they could. She belongs to no single flag. My friends, think about your own life for a moment. Think about something you are building. Maybe it is a skill, a relationship, a dream you carry quietly inside you, something that is taking longer than you expected, something that sometimes feels impossible. The Statue of Liberty teaches us something profound, deeply important and meaningful about the nature of great things. They are never built alone. They survive not because powerful people decide to save them, but because ordinary people believe in them enough to give what little they have. She also teaches us about patience. La Boulaye dreamed her in 1865. She was not completed until 1886, 21 years. Think about that, 21 years of believing in something you could not yet see. She is a mirror. When we look at her, we do not just see a statue, we see ourselves. Every person who has ever carried a dream across an ocean, across years, across doubt and disappointment. We see the truth that hope, when shared by enough hearts, can stand 93 meters tall and never fall. The next time you see her, on a stamp, a screen, a coin, look at her broken chains. Look at her torch. Look at the direction she is facing. She is facing outward, toward the sea, toward the ships, toward the people still coming. She is still watching. She is still waiting. She is still saying, there is a place for you here. May you always find the courage to hold your torch a little higher, and may the light reach someone who needs it.